K-pop idols are just robots. K-pop is not cool and only for teenage girls. The K-pop industry is so toxic. If you've ever heard or made these types of comments, then keep watching. Because today we're dismantling some common misconceptions about K-pop because the truth might end up surprising you. Let's blast off and get started. JM in your universe. Annyeonghaseyo friends, I'm Jonathan Miller and welcome back to Jonathan Miller Music, where we help each other become better artists. As K-pop continues to grow, I see in my comment sections a lot of incorrect stereotypes and assumptions about K-pop idols, K-pop fans, the industry, and the music itself. K-pop is something very near and dear to my heart. I've done tons of educational content surrounding it, but today specifically, we're tackling 5 of the most common misconceptions about K-pop because frankly, I'm tired of seeing it. So you can learn something new. Number 1, K-pop idols are just robots. Did you know that the average training period for a K-pop idol is between 2 to 4 years long? If you're unfamiliar, K-pop idols very, very rarely debut on the music scene as is. In the West, however, nowadays record labels want artists to already have a strong social following, a good sense of identity and branding, and a team of people who work for you like managers, publicists, and more. In Korea, talent agencies hold open auditions in a wide variety of formats, scouting young, talented artists with big dreams. And then once signed to an agency, those artists are then highly trained and developed to give them and the record label the best chance of success in the highly competitive entertainment industry. The current population as of 2020 of South Korea is 51.9 million people. The population of the US is 329.5 million people. The K-pop industry is currently the 6th largest music market in the world, with the USA being number 1. If South Korea, a country whose population is much smaller than the US, can grow to become only 5 spots away from the biggest music market in the globe, when I say competition is thick in South Korea, I mean it. Of course, a lot of K-pop idols are not even Korean, but that's for another day. When you watch a K-pop music video or a live performance, you're not seeing a robot. You're seeing a collection of highly developed and skilled individuals who place an emphasis on a polished product in order to create a fun experience for music fans. Hours and days and years can go into one single dance routine that you don't really see when they're performing in front of the cameras. Remember, not too long ago, the USA's music market was much similar. Up until the 2000s, it was very common for talent agencies and record labels to scout talent and then develop them for a period of time before launching them into the music scene. Rihanna got her deal with Island Def Jam in 2004 after sending in a demo that got to Jay-Z, and after she auditioned for them, she was signed. And it took a while before Panda Replay was serviced to radio, because the label took the time to figure out how to market her. Labels, of course, still do this, but it's a little bit different because it's less of a financial risk to find artists that are already semi-established on social media. Also, when you say things like K-pop idols are just robots, you're dehumanizing people too. While yes, there are many restrictions that idols face, which we'll get to in a little bit, they are still real people with histories, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Many idols themselves are also deeply involved in the music that they create. The boys of BTS write and produce a majority of their own hits. All memes and jokes aside, Psy literally wrote Gangnam Style, one of the most successful K-pop songs of all time. Big Bang's G-Dragon has written 23 #1 hits in South Korea. Now, it's true that many Western pop fans prefer to support artists who make and write their own music. That's actually quite different from how it used to be here. A lot of people didn't really pay attention to who wrote the song, because chances are the only way you'd find out is if you looked in the album booklet in the CD jacket. In the West, it actually used to be much more common not to write your own music. Most labels didn't trust new acts to write their own hits. Oftentimes, it was a privilege you earned after you could prove that you could sell records. So just because something is presented in a different way doesn't mean that underneath it all, we aren't still real people who love making music. And if you're a little threatened by primed and polished, I don't know, maybe keep up? I'm just kidding, that was mean. But you know what's not mean? This video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is one of the forerunners in the independent music game, helping artists like you and I distribute our music to places like Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, and more. For one yearly price, you can distribute as much music as you want and gain access to a lot of tools that help you promote your music too. Even things like getting an official artist channel on YouTube, like the channel you're watching right now. Official artist channels for artists and their teams provide a lot of important analytics and tools that you can't get with a regular YouTube channel. It helps keep all your music releases together, music videos organized, and a lot more. With an official artist channel, you'll be able to add any concert information, a special profile with your biography, and a gallery of photos. You'll be able to see how your songs and your videos are performing on YouTube, and you get a cool little official music note icon legitimizing your profile. To get started, all you'll need is your own YouTube channel account that is dedicated to content about you as the main artist. From there, DistroKid will walk you through the easy steps to get everything all set up. Use my special VIP link to save yourself 7% on your first year's membership with DistroKid. Thanks again, DistroKid, for sponsoring this video. Link is in the description. The K-pop industry is so fake. Have you ever heard a celebrity refer to Hollywood as the big machine? Well, the term usually refers to Hollywood executives treating people like products and dictating what they say, think, feel, or do, or they risk severe consequences. People oftentimes have an unrealistic idea of what a record contract actually is, and all the things you basically fork over, like the rights to your own master recordings, a la Taylor Swift. But basically the term the big machine, in reference to the music industry, is about how fake it can be and how it leaves artists feeling like they don't have any creative control, or really control over anything. Now, does that sound like what you think the K-pop industry is like? The music industry as a whole, when it comes to marketing, music videos, brand partnerships, public appearances, etc., can all feel very calculated and unrelatable, and mostly all about the money. While of course, yes, that can be 100% true. It doesn't mean that idols, in the case of K-pop, stop being genuine human beings with thoughts, feelings, emotions, and issues that they're passionate about, like I said before. For example, the members of BTS have spoken at the United Nations General Assembly to inspire and encourage embracing yourself and your identity. Twice members Junghyun and Momo are passionate about animal rights and have volunteered at animal shelters to help provide clean environments for the animals there. In 2013, SHINee member Jonghyun supported transgender rights and, by extension, the rest of the LGBTQ+ community during the Anyang protests. Soloist IU has reportedly donated 1.5 billion won to various charities since 2011, and also donated 260 million won to low-income families to help them get medical equipment and masks during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. The music industry can be fake as hell for sure, but genuine people using their platforms for good also exist too. Number 3, K-pop is just for teenage girls. Over the last few years, K-pop has been steadily growing, beginning as a regional sensation in Asia and blossoming into a dominating global brand that it is today. The truth is, K-pop is for everyone. If you don't believe me, let's take a look at some demographics and statistics. A really cool census was taken in 2020 by the Kpop Reddit, which I will link in the description so you can check it out for yourself. It aimed to find out some information about K-pop fans. While we should take into account that the information can be swayed because 47.1% of Reddit's total user base comes from the United States as of 2022, it still does reveal some interesting things. Out of the nearly 6,000 responses that they received, we can see that the primary ages of participants were between 18 and 34 years old. The survey also found that 51.7% were female, 43.6% were male, and around 2 to 3% were other genders. 40.5% of participants were white, 16.6% East Asian, 15.3% Southeast Asian, and 8.1% were Hispanic/Latino. Over 53% of participants had some college under their belt, and 34.1% of K-pop fans were employed in some way. A geographical breakdown by HypeBot revealed that K-pop exports from South Korea has grown at a compound annual growth rate of 38% over the 2010s decade. Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and Japan also are large consumers of K-pop, excluding South Korea itself. Twice has a notoriously larger male fan base in comparison to other acts like Blackpink and Red Velvet, so you see, K-pop can be enjoyed by anyone, of all ages. And for the record, let's say it was just for teenage girls. Why you gotta hate everything that teenage girls like? Just because teenage girls like something doesn't mean it's bad. Sounds like you might want to unpack that misogyny. Number 4, K-pop fans are so annoying. When a large group of people like something, it's common for those outside the group to try and make the thing that's being enjoyed seem uncool or bad. However, here's the cold reality of the music industry. Every fan base has annoying people in it. You have people who weaponize their favorite artists in order to take down somebody else's accomplishments or the fans of other people. If their favorite artist is not being talked about in any sort of way, they want no part of the discussion. This is true in the West and in K-pop. But let's talk about some good things that K-pop fans have done. For example, ARMYs and BTS themselves donated over $1 million to Black Lives Matter in the wake of the George Floyd protests of 2020. In 2019, Monsta X fans came together to help Australia's declining koala population. In 2020, when Typhoon Ulysses ravaged the Philippines, fans across many different idol groups came together to raise nearly $6,000 in donations, plus food and medical supplies to aid in recovery. K-pop fans have also been known to come together to drown out racist and white supremacist or just all-around hateful posts online by spamming fan cams of their favorite idols as a way of combating the ignorance, which, by the way, I still think is amazing. While yes, certain K-pop fans can of course be toxic, risking the lives of others and the artists themselves, Western artists share that same problem with fans, particularly women. Selena Gomez recently spoke on Good Morning America, saying that in order to protect her mental health, she doesn't really use the internet, which in today's world is really hard to believe. But it presumably means that what she does post is done through a social media manager. People hound her all the time. We all know what happened to Taylor Swift when she got canceled in 2016. Beyonce once had a fan in Brazil try to drag her off stage in 2013. Western pop fans regularly drag each other down and try to build up their fave. So even though annoying fans exist everywhere, maybe we all should do a little bit better at creating a more welcoming environment, whatever fandom we're in. And number 5, the K-pop industry is so toxic. Like Hollywood is any better? Yes, the K-pop industry has its darker corners and faces many real issues, from societal to political to personal. Idols are under rigorous contracts that sometimes put them in unhealthy weights and give them health or mental health issues. That is not a secret. Glitz, glam, and perfection oftentimes comes with a price, unfortunately. But the music industry in the USA, for example, has a massive amount of issues as well. Britney Spears got locked in a conservatorship for over a decade by her own family, when she was at one point the biggest pop star in the world. Numerous stars like Whitney Houston or Rihanna have faced abuse by other musicians. Eating disorders are rampant in this industry. Racism, homophobia, addiction, xenophobia are all major issues in the music industry, no matter where you are. That's why it's always important to remember that just because toxicity exists doesn't mean that good things don't. Music changes lives. It provides escapism from reality, helps us process our emotions. So maybe instead of focusing on what makes us different all the time, and then using those differences to somehow make one industry less valid than the other, we should instead honor our differences, recognize them, and also remember how we're similar too. Maybe then we'll remember that just because K-pop might feel unfamiliar at times for one reason or another, we can use our differences to learn from each other and grow.